What is going on at Manchester City? What is going on? Is Pep Guardiola finished? That's what we're going to talk about here today. What is going on at Manchester City? Is Pep Guardiola finished? This is what we're going to talk about today. You guys, I have been holding off on this video for about 2 to 3 weeks now because I believed when City started this bad run of form that they would, the moment I posted a video, Man City would go on, get back into form, and win 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row. I truly believe that. But it's been 2 to 3 weeks since I've been wanting to make this video. I've had this loaded up on StreamYard, and you guys, we're officially at like 2 months, 2.5 months of Manchester City not playing good football. Them being trash. Manchester City, Pep Guardiola has one win in 12 games. One win in 12 freaking games, and I'm now fully confident after they lost embarrassingly to Juventus, embarrassingly to a garbage Manchester United team on the weekend at home. At the end of the game, conceding 2 goals like that, I'm confident now Manchester City's form will not just magically flip, and we have things to talk about. I have some things I think explain what is going on in Manchester City. We're also going to talk about, is Pep Guardiola finished? Let's talk about the first thing. And actually, let's talk about Pep. So, Pep Guardiola, you guys, in his career, has never had to really think about it. Pep Guardiola has never had to actually coach through adversity through extended periods of time. Yes, there's been times where Manchester City, Barcelona, FC Bayern München, there's been times where there wasn't a good 1 week or 2 weeks. He has now had 8 to 9 bad weeks with his Manchester City team in the league and in the Champions League, and he is not able to coach this team, manage this team out of this adversity, out of this bad patch. And we're seeing for the first time Pep Guardiola is in a situation where he is getting clowned on. He is one of the root causes for a team playing like trash. He has a team that hasn't won more than 1 game in 12 matches, and he is the subject to all the criticism right now. And what we're seeing real time, guys, as every game passes, as every point Manchester City drops, we're literally seeing Pep Guardiola crumble in front of our eyes. We are literally watching Pep Guardiola crumble. We're watching a man enter into his psychotic phase of his life. You guys, something I've learned from Pep Guardiola as Manchester City have gone on this horrible run of form, something I've learned about Pep Guardiola is this. We all know Pep Guardiola is a football psycho. He's a psychopath in terms of football and tactics. But what I've come to realize about Pep Guardiola, guys, what I've come to realize now after this last 2 months, Pep Guardiola is not just a football psycho. He's not just a football psychopath. Pep Guardiola is a psychopath, period. He's a psychopath in multiple aspects of life. And every game, this guy seems to be losing more and more sanity. And it's crazy. And Pep Guardiola, the first moment in his career when he is dealing with adversity, dealing with a tough time, want to win in 12 games, he is crumbling within our eyes. So what is going on at Manchester City? I think Manchester City is feeling the side effects. The squad is feeling the side effects of Pep Guardiola not knowing how to manage himself and this horrible situation Manchester City is in. He doesn't know how to coach him out of it. He doesn't know how to manage this team out of it. He doesn't know how to act. He's going crazy on the sidelines. Every time Manchester City gets scored on, concede, he's out there about to claw his brains out of his skull. He's showing up to post-match interviews looking like he got attacked by a bear. That's how Pep Guardiola has responded to true adversity. And it's a not good look on his legacy. It's not a good look on, when we're talking about the greatest managers of all time, it's not a good look, Pep Guardiola. And I think this is one of the main reasons why Manchester City is having such a horrible turn of form. Yes, they had some injuries. You understand Rodri's out, but just because Rodri is out doesn't mean your whole team collapses and capitulates like this for 2.5 months. That's you guys. We're not talking about Messi and Barcelona. We're talking about Rodri and Manchester City. Rodri and Manchester City is not the same as Messi and Barcelona. It is not. No one can ever tell me that. No one can ever give me a valid argument for that. No. So Pep Guardiola, he needs to figure this out, and we're gonna get to watch him. Every game Manchester City plays from here on out, we're gonna see what adjustments does Pep do to both his tactics, right, and his behavior and his outlook. Let's see, because this is a growth period in Pep Guardiola's life. A second reason why I think Manchester City's form is so bad is because, honestly, guys, honestly, I know Pep Guardiola is, being criticized and everything right now, but honestly, their squad isn't that good. Let's just keep it real, guys. Manchester City's squad is not that good. Let's look at the squad right now. So you got Pep over here. Look at the goalies, right? I think Stefan Ortega is one of the best backup goalies in the world. But Ederson, I'm sorry, guys. Ederson this season, whoa, Ederson this season has been trash. Ederson this season, excuse me for my yawning. Ederson this season has not been good. You go to the defense now. And here's where an issue. Here's where you have an issue. John Stones constantly injured. Kyle Walker getting older and honestly looking like he's past it. Ruben Diaz coming back from injury and not looking the same. Nathan Ake and Manuel Akanji have since the beginning of the season not been performing to the same level as they were the last 2 seasons. Guardiola has probably been Manchester City's best defender this season because guess what? Want to know a crazy stat? Guess who the second highest goal scorer is for Manchester City this season? That was a rhetorical question, guys. It's Josko Guardiola. It's Josko Guardiola with 4 goals. Is City's second highest goal scorer in all competitions, with Haaland having 18 at first. That is a massive issue. That's a massive issue. So Josko Guardiola, he's delivering on the attacking end, but also this year defensively, Guardiola has not been as strong. He just hasn't. And Rico Lewis, poor kid, I don't want to shit on Rico Lewis, but he's a young kid playing way too many games for this Manchester City team. He's a young, very talented English up-and-comer, but he should not be a certified starter. He shouldn't have been a certified starter. If you were going into the season, no one would have guessed Rico Lewis would have been one of the main starters in this Manchester City team this season. Too early, and you're seeing him crumble slowly in this bad patch under Pep Guardiola. Go to the midfielders. Gundogan, honestly, he just looks like too slow. It looks like age really caught up with Ilkay Gundogan after the Euros this summer. He does not look the same. Kevin De Bruyne, when he's back from injury, isn't having the same impact. Kovacic was never good enough to be a starter for City. He was there to be a squad player. Matheus Nunes is a midfielder, and Pep Guardiola keeps playing him on the wing. Rodri's injured. So do you guys see that we're already in the goalkeeper's defense and midfield? How many issues there are with this squad right now? And this is where it gets worse. The attack. Jack Grealish, Bernardo Silva, Jeremy Doku, Phil Foden, Savinho, all having horrendous seasons. Oscar Bob broke his ankle at the beginning of the season, so you can't really say anything about him. Erling Haaland has been in a bad patch of form, but honestly, Erling Haaland isn't getting the most service. You all know Erling Haaland needs service to put away some goals. But he is not getting any service because guess what? Mr. Phil Foden only has 1 assist this whole entire season. Savinho has 0 goals for Manchester City. Jeremy Doku just runs into the box and his final ball is horrible. Bernardo Silva, since 2019, has not been a player that consistently outputs goals and assists for you. Jack Grealish is a 100 million pound flopping merchant. He's a flopping merchant. So you're looking at this Manchester City team right now, right? And just going off this season, if you want to go historically, yes, Foden was PFA Player of the Year. Yes, Rodri just won the Ballon d'Or. Kevin De Bruyne is a top 5, top 3 Premier League midfielder in the world. Kyle Walker, one of the best English fullbacks of all time. But take into context this season, go through each of these players, guys, and have a deep talk with yourself and realize that Ederson has been trash this season. Kyle Walker has been trash. John Stones, injured. Nathan Ake, Manu Kanji, underperforming. Ruben Diaz, not been the same since coming back from injury. Josko Guardiola, providing things in attack, but not being good enough in defense this season. Rico Lewis, being put in an uncomfortable situation and playing way too many games. He was not supposed to play this many games this season. Kevin De Bruyne getting older, not coming back the same after all these injuries. Gundogan too old. Kovacic never was good enough to be a starter. Nunes is a midfielder being played as a winger. Rodri injured for the rest of the season. You get to the mid attack again. We're just recapping this. Grealish, no goals or assists, and nothing. He is not an output kind of player. Bernardo Silva has never been a high output kind of player since 2019, 2020. Jeremy Doku doesn't get you goals and assists that often. Savinho has 0 goals. Phil Foden, since the Euros, has fallen off a cliff. And Erling Haaland has been in bad form, but he will not score you the goals if you don't give him service. And these attackers and midfielders are not giving the guy any service. So my big second point here with what is going on with Manchester City is that in hindsight, the squad planning for this season was horrendous. The squad planning for this season was horrendous. Now, coming into the season, regardless of what happened in the Euros, coming into the season, did anyone expect Phil Foden to become such a useless player in the Premier League after he was the PFA Premier League Player of the Year last season? No, I could have never predicted that. I really could have never predicted that. I couldn't. And I think that's why you're seeing a struggle with this Manchester City team, because the only real threat for goals is Erling Haaland. And to add on to that, the people who were supposed to service Erling Haaland in attack and midfield have been asked this whole season. And on top of that, there's no secondary goal scorer who gets in those 10 plus, that gets those 10, 20 goals of throughout the season in this team right now. Phil Foden was that, but he fell off a cliff. He lost his balls. So you're looking at the City team, and this is a culmination of both points I made. Pep Guardiola, going crazy and not knowing how to coach and manage this team out of adversity. And that also translates to the squad, how happy they are, how confident they are. That translates the same way. So because of Pep Guardiola, he's not able to motivate his players. But at the same time, the players this season, honestly, have not been good enough for Manchester City. And you guys, I was on the train of Manchester City. I won't believe they're out of the title race until they're 8 points, 10 points off come March 2025. You guys, I think I'm getting very close to coming on here and telling you guys Manchester City will not win the Premier League. If they take another 2 L's and drop, 6 more points within the next 3 months, I will tell you right now, Man City will not win this Premier League. Man City will not. And, these are the issues for Manchester City. They have a manager who, yes, is an amazing, brilliant manager, 4 in a row in the Premier League, but they have a manager mentally crumbling in front of their eyes and does not know how to coach out of in adversity. You guys, Pep Guardiola, and let's get to, is Pep finished? I don't know. I don't know if Pep's finished, because this is shocking. I would have never guessed Man City to have such a bad patch of form. Yes, under Pep Guardiola, Manchester City at times have had bad patches of form, but never to this extent. Never, ever to this extent did Manchester City go 1 win in 12 games. Never. Never. So is Pep finished? I don't know. For all the credit Pep Guardiola has in the bank, he's allowed to have one bad season. He's allowed it. He really is allowed to have one bad season. What I'm interested to see with Pep Guardiola is that, let's hypothesize. Let's say Man City win no trophies, right? And let's say Manchester City finish 10th in the league, right? If Pep Guardiola stays for the smoke for next season and wants to build this team back up to being champions, I would give a lot of respect to Pep Guardiola for staying and doing that. Because at Bayern, he ran away. At Bayern, he wouldn't get all the money and signings he wanted, and he ran away after he got to 3 Champions League semifinals and lost in all 3 semifinals to the big 3 in Spain every single year. So if Pep Guardiola sticks it out, and coaches this and manages this Man City team back to success, whether it be throughout the rest of this year or next season, I'll have respect. But if Pep Guardiola, at the end of the season, Manchester City with no trophies, and they get 10th in the league, and if Pep Guardiola runs away, Pep Guardiola will never, ever, ever be considered in the greatest manager of all time conversations. He would blacklist himself from that conversation. he would blacklist himself from that conversation if he scurs away like a little bald rat from the fight. Because you guys, at Barcelona, Pep Guardiola had the best team. He had Messi, Xavi, Iniesta. He brought in Busquets. He had Piqué, Daniel. He had all these players, guys. David Villa, Pedro, all these guys. At Bayern, think of that Bayern team he got. He took over from Jupp Heynckes. He took over a treble-winning Bayern team. Schweinsteiger, Lahm, Prime Boateng, Neuer in his prime Alaba at left back, Javi Martinez, Robin Ribery, Lewandowski. This is what Robert. This is what you guys. This is what he inherited. He signed Lewandowski and all those guys. Götze. He signed all those guys. And he ran away after 3 years because he lost in the semifinal 3 years in a row, and we wouldn't just hand him every single bum player he wanted to buy. So there is a lot of things to learn about Pep in the next coming games, the next coming weeks and months. We are going to learn a lot about who Pep Guardiola is because for the first time in his career, like I said in the beginning of the video, for the first time, Pep Guardiola is dealing with the hardest and toughest patch of form he's ever had as a manager. 1 win in 12. 1 win in 12. Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? Not me. I would have never thought it, guys. So, is Pep finished? You have to wait. Is he having the worst, 2 months of his career? Absolutely. But is Pep Guardiola finished? To be determined. But he's looking very fraudulent right now. Now, I'm not going to try to say here and say, oh, Pep Guardiola was always trash. It was all fluke. No. Pep Guardiola doesn't win all those league titles in Spain, Germany, and in England, by being a bum, by being lucky, by fluking. Yes, he had strong teams, but you still got to manage a 38 game, 30, 34, 38 game season and win these titles. Go out there, be consistent and win. And right now, it just seems that he's lost that ability, and he's lost that ability to get a hold of these players and get them playing to some decent level at minimum. He's lost it. And so this is the things we'll learn about Manchester City as a club in the next year as the season continues. How does Pep Guardiola, can Pep Guardiola dig himself out of such a big mess? Can he? And when he does, will that translate to the players playing better, getting more wins, people stepping up and scoring besides Haaland? We're going to have to see. And we're going to have to see. But honestly, guys, if I'm thinking about it right now, I could see Manchester City going trophyless this season. Based off the last 12 games where they've only won one freaking game, Manchester City well and truly can go trophyless this season. They really can. So I'm really interested in what's going to happen here with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola the next couple of weeks, especially going into the toughest and most congested part of the year for these Premier League teams during the holiday season, playing through the holidays, playing during Christmas and New Year's Eve week, New Year's Day week, whatever you want to call it. We're going to learn a lot about Manchester City, guys. You guys, it's been your boy Hokage Puya. I waited so long to post this video, but finally, after losing to Bumchester United, this video had to be made. Let me know if you like the video. Subscribe if you're new, guys. It's been your boy Hokage Puya. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.